Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, one inflated grade at a time. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm the intern, Jerry Porter.
And we welcome back once again the legendary Paul Sullivan of Sully Baseball. Welcome back.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here at Marshall's College or whatever school it is.
You're right.
Hey, where did you all go to school? Are we all college graduates here? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry and I went to school together.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete and I met in college at Indiana University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Did you and I... Wait, you're not an Emerson guy, are you, Sully?
No, I went to NYU undergrad.
That's right. You said that. Okay.
And recently, like in the last year and a half, I got my master's degree from Washington State University.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I went to Emerson in Boston, and then I went to Columbia College Chicago over here in Chicago.
It would be nice if you went to Lake and Palmer after going to Emerson, but you know.
That would have been good.
Well, what will also be good is minute 17, which begins with Indy, man shushing his students, and ends with some men in hats watching Indy walk across the famed and hallowed grounds of Barnett College.
Whatever. We're in the middle of this scene where he's he's trying to be good about his office hours, and he's just mobbed with all these people and everything, all these backed up, grades that haven't been, or papers that haven't been graded and all this stuff. And it's played for comedy, but this probably does happen to like a lot of professors, doesn't it? Like especially guys who might go out in the field for whatever their specialty is or something. Like this is probably like an actual thing that happens.
Well, see, I think this is weird. I think the movie's playing this like we're supposed to look at this like poor Indy's besieged by these students. But
yeah.
Indy's a horrible, horrible professor. Like he has a room full, an office filled with students eager to learn. They're interested in their grade. They want to find out how they did on their papers. They want to find out how they did on their tests. And he doesn't care. Like he's just a terrible professor.
He's going to get fired from Marshall College if he's not careful.
That's why he got fired? Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think, like we were talking about the kind of the lecherous, creepy Lear last episode. And I don't think Indy actually, because Irene comes in here and she says, you still haven't graded your papers. The term papers still haven't been graded. And I think he doesn't grade papers. I think he just assigns random grades depending on the amount of attention he gets from his students. And I think that's why we see all these constant goo-goo eyes from all the girls in the class, and the guys are giving, the sweater vest guys are giving them apples. That's how they get a grade.
That's how they get a grade. That's
yeah.
It's fascinating because I always thought that this, all these students showed up at office hours, to grab a little staff of raw. You know what I'm saying? but what we learn
where the
is
arc is buried.
You're a real small guy.
what we learn is, you said, Pete, Indy is terribly remiss in his professorial duties. And, he's tardy on grading papers. And the guy in the back of the room with glasses is screaming, Dr. Jones, you promised me, and he says it over and over. Dr. Jones, you promised me, we have one of them. He has to take a paternity test. Indy has to take a paternity test, and you're right. Most of the students here are furious at him, and I have a question that I don't think we've ever asked, and it's movie 3. Why is Indiana Jones a professor?
Because that's the only way you can make a living at this gig.
Does he need the money? Like, why doesn't he just flit about the world Indiana Jonesing?
Health insurance.
Because that doesn't always work. We saw what happened with Belloc.
It doesn't have the gravitas also. Like he doesn't, if he's just a grave robber, then he doesn't have the gravitas when he shows up like he does at Pancot Palace. And he's like, oh, I heard your name at Oxford. Or
right.
Like it gives him a certain weightiness that he doesn't have normally if he's just a guy running around stealing treasure.
But he doesn't need weightiness and gravitas from like the Javitos. I mean, he's getting the idol, which he's going to sell to Marshall College, the Marshall College Museum, and he's going to get money for it, like whatever it is, $2,000 or however much it is to get to Marrakesh. I don't know, whatever. He could. I just don't know why he's a professor. He's clearly not happy, and he's clearly awful at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I don't even know, like, does he even have a syllabus? Or does he just bark out the homework at the end of the class?
Yeah. I think Irene makes the syllabus at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Tobin's Spirit Guide on Thursday. Chapters 3 and 4.
With the papers being tardy. Now, Irene throws him under the bus in front of Yahweh and everybody.
Yeah.
She's like, you haven't even graded the term papers. And you're kind of like, come on, Irene. I mean, it's not really helping. But what's interesting is I thought previous minutes that this was the first day of school, because he's sort of introducing archaeology. He's like, if truth is what you want, Dr. Non-Leary-Eye is down the hall in philosophy. And I'm wondering if these term papers, maybe this still is the first day of school, and these term papers are from last year.
That's possible. Yeah, everything he's saying in the classroom is very like, and if you were
true.
ever in an archaeology class, you might be talking about stuff like archaeology. And going to the library. Anyway, I don't know.
Anyway, who's hot?
Yeah.
Exactly. He's got an apple.
We've got a new seating chart. It's not based on anything. Just go with it.
He's got an apple for me. If you do, I got a banana.
I think this confirms my theory that he's not actually a doctor, nor is he legitimately a professor. I think he's making it up.
You know what this is? It's a precursor to Catch Me If You Can. He's pretending to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another Spielberg film.
Would Leo DiCaprio be a good Indiana Jones?
No.
Moving on.
No. I agree with you, Pete, because when Indy sits at his desk, he sits down at his desk and it's apparent that he's a horrible professor and he doesn't want to be there and he doesn't know what he's like, I'm in over my head. And what's really weird is they play the Indiana Jones theme, but it's all like this kind of weird and soft Brady Bunch treatment.
Yeah.
It goes like dun 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 dun. You're like, what's going on?
But he gives that look where he just sits there and he looks straight at the camera almost and just goes,
Yeah.
oh God. And then he throws their papers aside and he's like, I don't want to be here at all.
I just don't understand it, Linus. Lots of people like archaeology. I know I should be happy. I've got a good job, but I'm just not happy.
You're seeing here that this is what his life is usually. Usually he's just there and he's surrounded. The one thing I do like about this scene, because I said in the previous minute that this is a little bit of what I call Spielberg comedy, in that it's funny on the set, funny as they're giggling, but not funny in practice. And it's a shame because Spielberg has directed some very funny moments, but this just seems forced. But the thing that I liked is that there was this sense of this is his office, and in the end, this is the end point. Either we give the stuff to Marcus, whatever Marcus doesn't want is sitting on his shelves there. This is he's surrounded by Marcus rejects, and so most of the time it's like, yep, I'm back here. I got papers. I'd rather not be doing this. And there's also though, and when we talked a little bit about the last minute, that he got the Cross of Coronado, and now there's maybe a little bit of, when a player finally wins the World Series, there's almost a little bit of a letdown the next spring training, going like, oh yeah, I already did that. And there's this little driving part of his life, even when he was looking for the Sankara stones or the Ark of the Covenant or whatever, that there was a little part of him that was this sort of, remember that feeling I had as a kid wanting to find that cross? Well, I got that. I've checked that off my list. And now I'm sitting here surrounded by kids and the Marcus rejects around me, and yeah, I got to get back to this now.
Oh, that was beautiful.
I'm in a new college. I've been kicked out of the other one. I'm in a brand new college. I demanded a classroom that looked exactly the same as my previous one.
Build me a wing that just matched the old one.
And Marcus just shows up wherever it is. I was in San Francisco before. Now I'm apparently in New Jersey.
See, I wondered about the tchotchkes in the background, the Marcus rejects. Is that like the pepper shaker of Pizarro? the lunch pail of Leif Erikson. Does he have this explorer's fetish now?
Well, I was wondering if this is the museum. When he says it belongs in a museum, is this what he's talking about? He just wants it in his office.
It's got a little wood card that says Indy's Museum.
It's like the Pez Dispenser Museum or something,
like they're gonna pay him with Monopoly money. It's like Marcus is like, no, sure, Indy, sure. Of course, the museum will pay you as we always do. These are fine pieces, Indy.
Nickels.
Whole thing's in his head.
Well, because you wonder how important he is when he has this giant boiler right behind him his desk.
Yeah. I wondered if he requested this space because maybe all the offices are really tiny in the school and he needs shelving for his
for his looted objects.
Or is it just like it's a first floor window and he's like, I got to be able to jump out at a moment's notice.
Escape hatch. He lasts like a minute. That's hysterical.
The question here is, so does this happen? Does this entire scene replay tomorrow?
No, he never goes back.
No, he goes to bed.
Well, no, I understand, but I mean, so if this
like a month, maybe.
Is this the first day of school?
This is why he left Marshall College, because I don't think he could hold his job. Like he's a terrible professor.
Yeah,
it's like if it's the first day of school, why does he have ungraded term papers, unless they're from last year?
Uh-huh.
And then it's like. Clearly, I mean, that's what's confusing. Did he have this exact same day where he barked out the homework at the end, no syllabus, like yesterday, with all the people meeting him in the office and furious, but he just didn't jump out the window?
Yeah, I think as he progresses in his profession, like after we've seen this twice now, but like after a while he'll just be like, I'll be in my office on Thursday. Like as he's actually climbing out the classroom window, like he doesn't even bother to like fake it. He's just like, okay, I'm there now. I'm waiting to talk to you guys. Bye.
He learned that from Tote.
By the way, I want to give this is, I believe, her only minute. I want to give the actress who played Irene a shout out. Her name is Julie Eccles. And she has another sort of weird connection to Lucasfilm in that she's only been in a handful of movies. But one of the things, she was the voice of the video game of Jan Orr's of Dark Forces, which was a mid-90s video game, which was basically a precursor of Rogue One. It was a game where you're playing as someone who was like the Diego Luna character in Rogue One, and there was a character who was a young girl who piloted the ship. It was like his co-pilot. And in Rogue One, the character was named Jyn Erso. And this game, it was Jan Orr's, and looked exactly the same as Jyn Erso.
Weird. Oh wow!
And that she was like, it was 90s graphics, but at the time was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And so she was like, yeah, I'm about ready to pick you up. And that was played by the same person who was Irene. And she also was in another video game, Rebel Assault 2, around that same time, which I did not have because I don't know why I didn't have that. I'm glad I didn't, because I spent enough time playing Dark Forces and X-Wing that if I'd put those away and written, I'd have 4 novels written by now. But yeah, that's she was the voice of Jan Orr's in Dark Forces.
Cool.
Wow.
That's all I know about her.
Lucasfilm lady.
Yeah.
Does this scene where it's, as somebody said, Evil Dead with all the arms going up on the door and
Night
everything?
of the Living Dead there.
Night of the Living Dead, that's right. Does that scene remind you guys of another scene from Raiders?
Yeah, when Marion is like running around all the corpses in the Well of the Souls.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I liked it. I was thinking though, Indy, come home. Indy, come home.
Oh, the kids?
Yeah,
all the kids. Like everybody's kind of surrounded by him. He's, they just kind of grab him and everything.
Well, I was thinking Marion in the catacombs is what I was thinking. So,
is it strange to see Indy so beleaguered and paralyzed? Like he sits down at his desk and you really see him. He's like, oh my God, what have I done? What am I doing here? I thought I was lucky to get this job at Barnett after impregnating half of the student body at Marshall.
Yeah.
Like, how, it's a weird shot because it's very well acted, and you really do believe. You're like, God, Indy's in over his head here. Like, forget all that. Like, he's smiling on the Coronado boat that blows up and during a maelstrom. Yeah, exactly. But here he sits down at his desk and he's like truly petrified.
He's like a 1930s version of a podcaster. Like, he hates his day job life. He's like, I can't wait to get home and do my podcast.
Yep.
Like, I can't wait to get home and look for the cross Coronado.
That's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
Yep.
It's just weird. You're like, why is it? You know what, Indy? You don't have to be a professor. You really don't. It's fine. But I had a question for, have any of you guys ever felt so overwhelmed that you got up from your desk and opened the window and walked out?
Yes, and I was on the third story of the building.
I mean, was there ever a time where you just did something sort of rash like that?
I called it 2016. Yeah, sure.
That's a good question.
You just walked off a job or whatever, whatever it is.
I totally did once. Oh, I completely did. It was a job where we were like selling stuff on the street. Not like we were part of some company that was doing promotions. We were supposed to stop people on the street and say, hey, do you want to take this thing? We were supposed to do it like a sales pitch. And about midway through, the guy I was doing this with was horrible. He was a horrible person. The guy looked like the older brother on the Wonder Years, and except with his hair slicked back and a leather jacket, and he was acting like he was. He was a Billy Zabka wannabe, and he was acting like, this is how you got to do it. It was like he was telling us that we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to sell. You got to do this. You got to do this. And about midway through, I'm looking at what we were doing, and it's like we were stopping people on the streets of New York. This is when I lived in New York, and telling them to go pay us and take this coupon and go to this hair salon, and they'll give you a haircut. And I'm like, how do we sell this? If I'm walking down the street and a stranger stops me and says, hey, do you want a haircut? Well, go pay me and this guy will give you one. And then at one point I asked him, how are we assuring people this is not a scam? Doesn't this, if someone stopped me in the middle of a street and said, pay for a haircut for some place I've never heard of, I'd call a cop. And the guy said, well, you got to learn how to sell. You got to learn how to sell it. And right then a bus stepped by us. I had a token, and I just got on the bus and I left.
You just got, that's good. See, I had a weekend once that was so bad that I actually, I went over to my wall map. It was a Saturday night. I went over to wall map and I looked around and I go, Trinidad. I've never been to Trinidad and I know nothing about it. And then I went on kayak and I bought a plane ticket to Trinidad that left 48 hours later.
Huh?
And that was it. That was kind of me jumping out the window. And then I was just like, yep, screw everybody, screw it all. I'm going to Trinidad. and I bought the ticket on Saturday and I left Tuesday and knew nothing about the country. But it was great.
You went to Trinidad and I went on the crosstown bus. It's very different.
Same thing.
Well, mine. I worked at a job for 11 hours one time. I got a job working in a pet food factory, and I got there and they gave me the overnight shift. So like I started at 8 p.m. and it was supposed to end at 8 a.m. And I had no idea what I was going to be doing. Like I thought I was going to be working in the office or something. And I get there and my job is to shovel cat food as fast as it comes off of the conveyor belt into these giant bags.
Wow.
And I did it for like 10 and a half hours and it's all night long. And I'd never worked an overnight job before. And at 7 in the morning, like an hour before my shift was supposed to end, I just took my shovel and I walked into the office and I'm like, I don't think we're a good fit.
I'm imagining you shoveled the cat food in the bags, telling all your coworkers about the excavation at New Frades.
Yeah.
Say, my name's Peter.
Please tell me that while you were shoveling, you were going, oh yeah, they.
He's the best digger in Hills. Yeah.
It's like the pharaohs have returned and made us shovel cat food.
Where's Indy going when he goes out the window?
I have no idea. I think he's going to Trinidad.
Probably.
That's what he's doing.
He's going to go invent the internet so he can buy a plane ticket.
Well, we have before we totally leave the office there, because I'm in some ways I'm glad we don't spend a lot of time in the office. It's kind of like the Iman's house in Raiders, where it was really intricately art directed, but it was nice that we just kind of went in, went out. Like, it's just like, there's a lot of stuff here. But there's a moment at 33, at second 33, where he holds up the package and he says, Venice, Italy. Now, why he doesn't open it at that moment, I don't know. But all I could think of, and you shouldn't think of Mystery Science Theater when you watch a film that's a good movie. But I don't remember which. It may have been Fugitive Alien. It was one of the great Joel Mystery Science Theaters. But there was a scene where someone held up something. What's this from such and such? And Joel and the bots just started going at the same time. Plot point, plot point, plot point. And I watched. I think at this time I was just beginning to get into Mystery Science Theater when I first saw Last Crusade. But that's just sort of that one shot of him. Venice, Italy. I better not open that now.
What's really strange about that is, doesn't Irene say, "Here's your mail"?
Probably.
Like, doesn't she say, like, one of the things is, "Here's your," she says
your mail is on your desk.
Oh, she says your mail
is on your desk.
Okay.
Here are your phone messages. This is your appointment schedule, and these term papers still haven't been graded.
The plot point's on your desk.
Plot point.
Yeah. Do you think that for Indy, like, at all in the back of his mind, is climbing out the window at all connected to, like, his other, more adventurous feats of daring do? Like, in the back of is it sort of like a casual version of, like, is it like the Human Torch, if he's like lights a candle with his finger, like he's using his superpower for something super casual, just kind of like, I'm getting out of my office by the window. I could use the door, but I'm using the window because I'm Indiana Jones.
Now, you know what's weird is, if you look at the scene, it's like there's nothing daring do at all about it, and it's following, like, he's truly petrified.
Yeah,
and that's what's kind of strange. And I'm only going on the look that he gives. Just the look where he sits down and he's like,
He just looks straight ahead.
Yeah, he looks straight ahead. He's like, he's paralyzed.
Yeah.
Do you think he fully had the option of leaving by the door? Like, even though he has to, like, wade through all the kids again, but then he's like, well, you know what? It'll be more Indiana Jonesy if I go out the window. I'm aching for that adventure again. I'll do whatever's available to me. I'll just climb out the window.
What's crazy is once again, he just totally hosed the people close to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Sala or whoever, like Irene.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not even going
this.
anywhere. He's just. I'm leaving. I'm
done. But like so at like 6:30 at night, just like, is the door locked?
Well, are those students going to be camped out there for 3 hours, like just waiting because everyone's like, oh, he's in there. He'll be out in a second.
And you know what's weird? It's like all the irresponsibility has cracked Indy's glass door. If you look at it, it's just.
Didn't she just say that she was going to start sending students in, or he asked to have students sent in, like, one at a time?
She wanted him to make a list, and then she'd send them in turn. Yeah.
So does the first one go in and be like, "Say, he's gone"? Yeah, exactly. And then they run away with Magellan's mouthwash.
Right.
And some Rinso soap too.
Yeah,
some Rinso.
It's strange. I don't think it's a daring do, though, Tommy. I think it's not like part of another adventure. I think it's kind of like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's like I can't go through with this.
Yeah, but it's like somebody who's I'm thinking I'm thinking about it like an addiction or something. Like somebody who's like he's trying to stop smoking or something. So he goes like to nicotine gum or something, or he starts chewing his fingernails or something. He's like, I'm not on an adventure, but I'll go out the window, I guess. That'll be kind of fun, right? It's kind of like being an adventurer. I don't know.
Oh, then he would have like used the whip and like whipped the tree branch and swung down and
just hang there.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Can we go back to second 2 of this minute here? Go back to second 2.
Yeah. I don't know.
Now, Indy is sort of shushing everyone. Now, I've just been, as you guys have been having this conversation, I've been watching it on a loop I have here on my laptop. And I noticed something. I've seen this movie beginning to end probably 3 or 4 times. It's no Raiders. But look at the girl that's all the way screen right with the green sort of kerchief in her hair. And she has everyone else is jumping up and down saying, Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones. She is silent. She looks back at everyone else.
No, yeah.
And she's staring at him. Like, yeah.
She's the one from the end of the last minute who's just like, just mooning. That's all she's doing.
She's mad, though. She starts to say something, and she follows him all the way until like the crush is there. But like everyone else is like, I got a paper. And she's like, yeah, you and I have something real to talk about. And I think you know what I'm about to say.
I bet.
Abortion clinic, 3:30, remember? Right after
I'm
office
the boulder
hours.
chasing you now, okay? I bet you wish you spoke Javitos with me, okay?
Also for you, Tom, as I look at these seconds, every one of these notebooks has a Barnett College sticker on the cover.
That's not for me.
Oh, really? Is that true?
Really?
Yeah. Like second 8. Look at second 8.
I know what this wouldn't make me so angry if it made any sense. It wouldn't make me angry.
Right.
If it made any sense at all. Why force it to be the exact same shots as Raiders and then say it's a different place for no reason?
And I thought it could have been a thing that would have been an interesting turnaround or little plot twist that it's like, hey, Indy got fired from Marshall College.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Here's why. He's doing it again.
Yeah, he's doing it again.
That little rascal.
It's like you hire him, he comes with a stork. But again, what's Marcus doing here? It's just none of it. Just I fully support your indignation, Tommy.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yes.
Also, this is like the last students we get in the movie, but we keep touching on it. But is it really weird and disturbing? Like we spent hours about the whole Marion thing in Raiders. And how, in the story meetings, it was like super weird, just outwardly gross and weird. And they kind of walked back to just being like sort of weird if you think about it enough. But now they're like leaning into that again. Like here with all the, students being all doughy-eyed and him like kind of leering back and stuff.
Yeah.
And
The strangest part of all is in Raiders, he gets the love you and it on the eyelids and it trips him up.
He's freaked out. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
it trips him up. And so you kind of go, all right, that's 2 years ago. Right? So 2 years ago, and we joke back in the Raiders podcast, who's like, well, I'm going to have to see those fellers in biology and ask them what's going on with this whole love you business.
I need a diagram or something.
I don't exactly. So you're like, all right, here it is 2 years later, and he's like, I got you. I'm a couple semesters smarter now, kiddo.
Yeah.
Someone showed him on the skeleton.
That's why they had to remove it from the classroom.
Skeleton.
Oh man. Well, hey. Well, I want to bring something up here though, because I don't know what else we got left about this minute.
Only if it's about students and teachers and sex.
Done.
Yeah.
That, just remember this year that this came out, was 89, was every once in a while, like there like a lot of great movies will kind of come out at the same time. But I mean, this is, I wonder how much of this is colored by the fact that this was the year I got my driver's license, 1989. It was the year where I was a junior and then a senior year in high school. And I was living in Palo Alto where there was a lot of movie theaters. In fact, one of my best friends was a projectionist at the Aquarius in the Varsity movie theater in Palo Alto, and be like, hey, Sully, you want to, back then he was like, do you want to come to the Varsity Theater and watch trailers? Like today we have YouTube, but then it's like, hey, I got Reds. Do you want me to? So I'd be sitting alone in the Varsity Theater and watching. I got Superman. You want to watch Superman? And then he'd thread it up and we'd watch it. But that was a time when you think about. I mean, I just have up here like the films some of the films that came out. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, but you had like, if you're a high school student, like Bill and Ted's came out. You had Munchausen came out, which is not a great movie, but is certainly one that you that I remember going to see. Heathers came out, Batman came out, Indiana Jones came out, Field of Dreams came out.
A little thing called Star Trek V.
True, that did as well. But like,
let's not bury the lead.
Miracle Mile, which is a film I really loved, came out that year. Dead Poets Society, which was a great date film. Do the Right Thing came out. Sex, Lies, and Videotape came out. When Harry Met Sally came out that July. All these films kind of came out. Roger and Me all kind of came out at the same time, like one right on top of another. And in the middle of it was, it was, for me personally, it was a time of maturing as a film watcher, because there were all these great films that were, as a high school student, like, God, I'm digging some of these films that are aimed for adults. But I had also grew up watching Raiders and reading Batman comics, and all of a sudden there's a new Indiana Jones film that feels more like Raiders, and Batman is in the theaters. And so there's something I remember that whole summer, there was always a reason to go to the movies. There was always something you wanted to see. Yeah. And it wasn't always because it was a comic book. There was only one comic book movie. And it wasn't always because it was a sequel. There were a bunch of sequels, Ghostbusters 2, which was I never finished, and Back to the Future 2, but which we're currently living. But there was always that whole year. I thought, was every year like this when I didn't have a driver's license? And it turns out it wasn't. It just was this this Venn diagram of all these films that you want to see for escapism, you want to see for artistic reasons. Roger and Me was you want to go see a documentary in the theaters. Yeah. All came out at that same time. There was always a reason to get excited to see a movie. And one thing I remember, because I was in that summer, I spent the summer at Northwestern University. They had a program for aspiring filmmakers between their junior and senior year of high school. And so I was surrounded by film nerds. For the first time in my life, I was not the only film nerd. I was surrounded by other film nerds. So I was on this island of misfit toys of people said, did you see Did the Right Thing? Yeah. Did you see When Harry Met Sally? And so that kind of added to it. The thing I remember is I was always at the movie theaters, constantly at the movie theater that whole summer. And I was living in the Bay Area when both the A's and the Giants won the pennant, but I was always in the movie theater. And the thing that was, you just knew, A, there was always a reason to go. There was always an exciting film. And B, we were going to see the Young Einstein trailer with Yahoo Serious that whole summer. And it almost was a point where you're like, okay, I'm getting a Coke now because I can't sit through it. And that was a summer where we were all going to the movie theaters constantly, but we all as a nation said, no, not that. I don't care if it was a hit. I don't care if it was a hit in Melbourne. That doesn't play here, okay? We'll sit through Weekend at Bernie's, okay, but we won't go to this crap. So, and that's also around the same time Mystery Science Theater was there. So you're almost learning how to watch a movie as a jackass. But I associate Last Crusade with going into my senior, that summer between my junior and senior year and the fun. And I lost my virginity. So, all these things happened, and that was really fun. Thank you, Dead Poets
Yes,
Society.
I hope to a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
just to bring it full circle.
I was applying to colleges, and I was applying to Marshall and Morton
Barnett.
or whatever. Barnett, thank you.
Yeah.
So.
Wait a minute, I'm getting something buzzing here.
Uh-oh.
Something coming through the wires.
Yeah.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter, who knows about all this professor stuff. Who did Indy piss off to get the boiler room? That's a good,
So that's not just like a standard thing?
No. And she actually, she even has a little thing here underneath that says, why is that even on the first floor?
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
That is a good question. Why is it? I mean, look, I guess knowing Marcus isn't enough. Or maybe he's like, if they knew he got fired and they're like, he needs to prove himself at what is this called? Is it Harlot College? Is it Barnett?
Well, that's weird. Like, I was just thinking about that. he's got all these shelves in this boiler, and they're all lining that wall. But when you look at the next scene, he's climbing out of a window next to a whole bunch of other windows. So are those windows, like if you look in those windows, it's just like I see a boiler and I see a bunch of shelves with stuff on them?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
That's pretty prime real estate.
Yeah.
It's almost as if that was shot in a different place months and months
So
later.
you don't say.
Stop it.
That's just if you think of, there's nothing about that room that would ever that's not how I imagine Indy's office to look
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird.
It's a really weird. It's
I feel like
kind of
there's got to be like a reason they did that.
And here's the irony again too. There's the boiler behind him, and yet he's got the fan. The fan is going like the fan is going, which again, it's either the first day or the last day of school. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's clearly hot out or a nice day if he's got the fan rolling.
Well, we had some momentum there, and it just kind of just
That's
cruised.
what happens when the episode's over.
Yeah, we just cruised this out.
Yep.
It's a natural order of things.
It's kind of like fade out,
Yep.
slow fade.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just do that.
And if you'd like to give us a soft landing, Sully, where can people find a nice soft pillow and curl up and listen to some good baseball talk?
Well, you can snuggle up and get your feety pajamas on, get some cocoa with some marshmallows, and listen to Sully Baseball on go to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and or you can just follow me at Sully Baseball on Twitter, and I put up links to everything I do, and boy, do I mean everything.
And if you want to find everything we do, check us out at IndianaJonesMinute.com, where we have all of our episodes. You have a link to our Patreon show where we talk about other movies and some of the comic books and all kinds of stuff like that. And link to the Han Solo Dream page. And you can find everything about us there. And you can also come back and find more about us tomorrow on minute 18 of the Indiana Jones Minute.
Wait, Tommy.
Yeah.
Can you do the Indiana Jones theme song mixed with the Sad Brady Bunch? They're kind of
Wait,
similar.
the Indiana Jones Minute song?
No, the theme song from Indiana Jones, like dun
Oh,
dun
the
dun
Indiana
dun,
Jones-
and then it's like
yeah.
dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
They're
Dun, 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 dun.
they're not that far off. Dun, dun, dun,
I wanted to
dun.
go in to Get Smart too. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, that's good. That's
The Odd Couple.
The Odd
The Odd
Couple, yeah.
Couple.
Everything turns into The Odd Couple.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. Well, Tom sounds like he's had a little bit of a champagne, too.
Yeah, my tree.
I'm ready to go get impregnated.
Oh.
Yep. Hot damn.